It's like, don't, because there's like a, all right, you guys are gonna hate this, but in Shrek,
I don't know. I already love it.
I'm
what are
invested.
you talking about? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark, the podcast that delves into all things anime, manga, and otaku culture related. My name is Alex, but you can call me Senpai. And joining me tonight, we have our czar of source material, John.
Colonel, I'm trying to sneak around these guards, but the sound, I don't remember how it goes. I can't get it out. It's just
It's
the clap of my ass cheeks keeps alerting the guards.
Oh man, he can't even get it out. It's so ridiculous.
It's so stupid.
And our poser extraordinaire, Natai.
It's the memes, Raiden. It's in the memes. There you go. That's your
Numbers,
MGS
Mason.
reference.
What do they mean?
Remember that one part in the first Metal Gear Solid where Snake is like, "Oh, I recognized you because of your ass. Only you walk like that with that ass." It's like, what, Snake? Excuse me. Yeah, the only reason he recognized Meryl because she was like disguised as a male soldier, and it's like, I recognized because of your butt, and she's like,
Oh yeah, that's true though.
yeah.
God,
God, I love Metal Gear.
Jesus Christ. How do I move on from that?
I mean, we could talk about Metal Gear, but let's not.
I mean, we'll save that for another day. But tonight, the three of us have gotten together because we want to talk about a topic that John actually suggested, and I don't think he actually remembers why he suggested it, but here we are.
I do remember why I
okay.
suggested this, because it's something that I wrote down, and it's super funny. But it's anime story quotes lessons that shaped us because we're unhinged, unbalanced fucking children.
Yeah, what are even adults, bro?
Well, like,
I know, right?
it's a weird thing to think about. Like, first of all, kids download their personalities from whatever they watch, right?
Yeah,
Pretty much, especially if you go on like Call of Duty or something. Yeah,
like you kind of download your personality from whatever like media you just consume that impacts you. Whether or not that's YouTubers or a movie or like anime, for example. I mean, I'm not sure about you guys, but I sure as hell remember the cringe-ass anime kids in school.
Yeah, I have the power of God and anime on my side.
Of course I know them. That person was me.
Yeah, I was the cringe anime kid. Most
I wasn't
definitely.
the cringe. I was not the cringe anime kid because I hid that shit. But
you had to hide it back in the day, or the people would relentlessly bully you.
Yeah, but there is a specific like and the fucked up thing is I don't remember which anime it's from. I really don't. But there's a specific scene that like it just resonated so well with me, and to the point where I still remember the scene, but I don't remember the anime.
Which scene
So
is it?
that's like
Now I'm curious.
Yeah, what was the scene?
Well, all right. So to start it all off, there is a scene where I believe these scientist ladies are talking to each other, and one of them's smoking a cigarette, and the other person's like, "You're such a smart person. Why are you smoking? You know that'll kill you, right?" And the lady smoking says, "Because sometimes people in life need a crutch." And I'm just like,
Damn.
I remember this. Like, because
Damn.
I resonated with that so well because I picked up smoking when I was young because of like a lot of stress and like a lot of just like, going through teenage shit, right? And
John is a bad boy.
I smoked for quite a while. I think like 10 years. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, 10 years. I smoked for 10 years. Yeah. And I remember being like when I was younger, I never smoke. I know what smoking does. It's bad. All this and that. But then like as I was getting older, like I had to have a crutch in life because I was like I needed to smoke to deal with the stress in my life. And it was just like this scene from this anime that I watch. Still, I think about it every day. Like when I see other people doing shit, I'm like, why the fuck would you do that? And I'm like, well, because sometimes people need a crutch in life. And it's just
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing about a crutch, I think it's relatable because like whether it's cigarettes or alcohol or whatever. Adults need something to take them away from the shittiness that is actual real life sometimes.
Isn't it from Evangelion? I think.
Is it?
What's the name of the blonde scientist? Shit, I'm blanking on it. Ritsuo? Maybe? I'm probably wrong.
Jesus Christ. Why have you done this, Natai? Now I have to look it up.
For some reason, I have a feeling it's that. I might be wrong.
I feel like it's Ava, yeah. It might be Ava. I don't know. I really don't remember because I was like I said, I just remember the scene. I don't know where it's from.
It because really that scene reminds me of Ava.
Yes, Ritsuko. It's like, yes, I know it's not Misato.
Nah, bless Misato.
Yeah, it is Ritsuko. You know what? This actually sounds like something that might have been an Evangelion.
Dude, Ava has so many like moments where like, fuck. All of these people is just so like mentally broken on the inside. It's kind of.
I know, right?
Yeah, like, but yeah, I totally get that. Like, I have feelings from Evangelion. That's sort of like. I think there's in Attack on Titan, funnily enough, there's like a similar sentiment where someone's like, I think it was in season 3, near the end of like the Kenny arc, where Kenny is like, everyone needs to like be drunk on something to get like to like survive life, and like drunk on a dream to like be able to move forward in life. And it's like you gotta need that something, whether it is like a crutch or just something to like pursue in order to like keep struggling,
or something to keep you grounded and sane.
Yeah. It's kind of a depressing thought, but like, it's not wrong.
I mean, it's not. It's depressing because it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, dude, life sucks sometimes, and
Especially
I didn't want
as an adult.
Especially as an adult, dude, you got to pay taxes. Like, what the heck? What's that?
You got to actually not just run over people in GTA in real life. Like, it's insane.
Like, 100% don't just steal personalities from anime. But I feel like because anime, it's just another medium for entertainment. So you can definitely like. There's a lot of good value in stories and stuff being told, and I mean you can obviously don't take all of anime to heart and be like, oh yeah, Boku no Hero, fucking power of friendship. It's gonna break everything and win.
Yeah,
like,
but fiction can be very, very empowering, right? It can definitely like inspire you, like for in a lot of positive ways.
Well, because like, it's not. Go ahead, John.
Well, I was gonna say because I'm not gonna lie. If you don't have friends in real life and you only have friends online, right, or anime friends, or like, you're a little bit unbalanced when you don't have like real life friends. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's because I'm gonna be honest. When I met the podcast guys, like all of us online, right, I was just like, cool. I have an anime circle of friends. I didn't really feel like we solidified our friendship until I met you guys in real life. At least for Alex and Sho and Tom and Shinoda and Jason.
Yeah,
I still
John
haven't met Natai, so
friends.
he's not really. You're still an internet stranger to me, so I don't know. But
we're not real friends, yeah.
But I don't know what it is. Like it just seems like if you grow up online, especially this is more important in this day and age. But like if you grow up online, it just seems you're a little bit unbalanced if this is all you learn, right? Because it's like you don't learn, you can't really get humility from interacting with people online because you don't know if it's genuine or not, and this and that. That's just my personal like opinion on it.
No, I totally agree with that.
Or just basic etiquette.
Yeah, like
I think all you have to do to see evidence of that is go on Twitter any day of the week. People there are terminally online,
bro. Like it's so funny to say like download personality from like Anime Watch because like literally I was that guy until my IRL friend sort of like slapped me senseless because you definitely like I really like currently all my like very close friends are really like I'm super glad I have them as friends because it's not only like they're good friends because like I like them as people but because they keep me grounded and it's like bro you fucked up like that's not cool what you're talking about and I don't think I would have been in a place I am right now if it weren't for them like because like a few years ago like before I think while I was in high school and before I joined the army, that was a time when it's so weird to me because it's so accurate. How you said like I downloaded quote unquote personality from anime. Like, bro, I was I guess I can get into it. Like I was watching Snafu and like while watching it, like I was like, dude, I'm so much like Hachiman. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it really, really cringe.
How relatable. That's totally me.
Yeah, oh, how relatable. I think
Hashtag relatable.
Hashtag I do that. It's like, because, you know, you watch like season 1 of Snafu. It's like, you got this Hachiman. It was a really entertaining character, but is an asshole, right? Is like, he thinks he's so much above like other people. He's still, even though he has a lot of this like very much like self-hatred and self-loathing, but at the same time he's like belittling other people, and he's like not really considering, like, is considerate of other people's feelings. And like at first I was like, oh, I'm so much like that. It's I get that so much, you know. And then, which is like the funny thing about Snafu, and then it sort of like turns that around. It's like, bro, that's kind of fucked up. You're being like that, and it's like,
well, it's like, you know, you say you have good friends and you got good friends. Like, a friend is someone who will just pick you up, right? Like, he'll, not literally, figuratively. If your friends are just running around picking you up off the ground, they're probably not your friends.
I mean,
but no, like, but a good friend is someone who will not only pick you up when you need it, but is someone who will tell you you're wrong when you actually are wrong and help ground you, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what like Snafu can help you do. Snafu is one of those things, like, you might watch it and you think, oh man, I'm so much like Hachiman, and then you start watching and you're like, Hajiman's a shitlord, I gotta change.
Yeah, definitely. Like that season, the second season is like the whole like why it's so special to me, at least. And then afterwards, like the end of the story, it's like how it's so like you present with this character is like very much like just like a very kind of a shitty person who's like very like by himself, is not really considering other people's emotion. It's like, well, you know what, you're talking all this like you're like on your high horse, like talking about all of us, but you're just like, you know, just like I'm being shitty right now, and you're not even like thinking about how we feel about you, even though like we like you, you're a good friend of ours, but like why would you sort of like turn us away, right?
Yeah, and like the whole like you think you're better than everyone because you always try to self-sacrifice. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, not relying on people and thinking you're better because you're the hero at the end of the day, when in reality it's like no one asked you to do this, but you did it anyway, and it's fucked up. Like,
yeah.
It's selfish in its own right, even though it doesn't seem like it's selfish, because it's like, why? What do you mean it's selfish of me to do that? I'm the one taking the blame, and I'm the one who's gonna get hurt out of it. And it's like, it's selfish because you chose to do that when there were other options that you didn't want to explore.
Especially when we don't want to see you in pain, and you're just being in pain right now.
It's very
Which I think
unique
is something
message.
that people.
Yeah.
I think that's something that people in real life do sometimes a lot without thinking about it. And like, yeah, it may not come off as like selfish or self-aggrandizing to you, but it kind of is.
No, definitely. Like that. I'm kind of shocked when you said that, John. Like a Donnelly personality, because that hit home really hard. I'm kind of surprised right now.
And then he watches Snafu and he becomes a babbling mess with a bottle of whiskey.
Well, it's because, like, again, I'd like to think that most anime fans get into it when they're young and impressionable. So it's kind of like a given that, like, for example, in No Game No Life, everyone downloads their personality and they all think they're Sora. And I'm just like, bro, you're not Sora. Like, that's cringe. Stop it.
Stop it.
And if
Alex,
if you literally are Sora, you need help.
And it's like, because you only pick the good parts of their personality. Like, at least with Sora, you see that he has good parts. Like, obviously he's pretty smart and pretty talented at like learning things, memorizing, but he puts in the work for that, right? It's not that he was born smart. He puts in the work and the effort, but he also has a lot of shortcomings that he works on throughout the novel. So it's like, people want to take away from anime just the good parts, but it's like, you're not looking at the whole story of it. Because, I mean, just because it's it could be a good, I mean, I guess One Piece would be a different thing because it's a shonen where it's like power of friendship. Don't disappoint your mates. It's about the journey, not about the destination. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. Because listen, 80% of you weebs out there, man, you guys are unhinged, man. Like, Jesus Christ.
I'm a little more optimistic than that. I don't think it's quite that high, but it's a very vocal percentage.
I think it's fine. It's fine to find relatable characters in anime. It's fine to find life lessons in them.
But you don't have to make that your personality.
You really don't.
You don't. When you base your whole personality around one thing, or at least a majority of your personality around one thing, Nobody likes that. Absolutely nobody likes that when you base all of who you are, your entire identity, around one singular thing. And it's not just about, like, you know, fucking anime characters or fictional characters. It's anything. You can go overboard with this.
Yeah. Like, and why limit yourself to that? Be more, like, try and, like, open yourself up to more things that maybe, like, it will be interesting to you or develop you further, right, as a person.
Yeah. And I think there are great lessons you can take away from anime. Just don't make it your whole thing. Like, a great example for me is, like, and I talked about it during the episode we talked about hype moments in anime. In Gurren Lagann, when Kamen says, "Don't believe in yourself, believe in the me that believes in you."
Bro.
At the time when I first heard that, like, I needed this shit.
Dude, this, like, line is, like hits you right there. It's just, like...
Yeah, this is one of the lines where when you hear it in the moment, it just seems hype. But the more you think about it, it's just like, this is actually a really good... It's super deep. Like, the fact that Simon doesn't believe in himself, right? And then his older brother figure, Kamino, is like, no, you don't need to believe in yourself. You need to believe in the me that believes in you. It's like, don't... Because there's like a... All right, you guys are going to hate this. But in Shrek...
I don't know. I already love it.
I'm
what are
invested.
you talking about?
So in Shrek, Fiona talks about how she could never fall in love with an ogre. Ogres are like nasty looking and this and that, and she's an ogre herself, right?
Yeah.
And Shrek overhears that, and then he just like silently walks away. And it's like that type of behavior, like self-deprecating behavior that you commit to yourself because you think you're not worthy or you're not good enough and stuff like that. Other people who feel similar to you feel that pain, and when you yourself don't believe in yourself, it kind of like makes other people like not feel good about themselves either. Like that type of self-deprecating thing, like I do self-deprecating humor all the time, but I'm never serious about it because it is kind of like destructive. And Simon's mindset during this entire like fight sequence is like he can't do it because he's always been second fiddle. Like Kamina should be the guy who does it, but it's like Kamina's like, no, I see the potential in you. And you need to believe in that potential yourself. You need to believe in the potential that I see in you. And it's just like, it hits so fucking different when you think about it like that. Because it's like, you don't really know your worth. A lot of people like to put themselves down, but your worth is a lot more than you really give yourself credit for.
Because it's so easy to see, like, the flaws in yourself and being like, even though, like, I mean, even though, like, you might, like, get some, like, approval or like praise for someone, it's so fucking easy to fall to that mindset of like, it's like I'm not there, I'm not good enough at that, I'm too stupid at this, or like I'm too limited in that area or whatnot. It's very easy to fall into that mindset. Like,
yeah, and you are your biggest critic, 100%.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's good, you know, this is a really good lesson in like, sometimes you just need to believe in yourself like other people believe in you.
Yeah.
Like seeing your potential is really hard to do. It's because, you know, it's hard to be objective about yourself because you're just like, you're always going to have that type of thought, right? Like imposter syndrome's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
definitely.
is. And it also kind of plays into that thing that in general, people tend to judge themselves by their intentions and others by their actions. But you can't always see everyone's actions because like some of it just goes on inside their own head. Like
no, precisely. Yeah.
Clearly believes in Simone in Gurren Lagann, but he doesn't always like. He's not like constantly. He's like, you got this, you got this, you got this, you got this. Like his actions would lead you to believe that he does, but he's not constantly reinforcing it until that one moment where he's like, listen, you don't have to take all this on yourself. Like if you don't have the fortitude to believe in yourself at this moment, believe in someone, me, who can believe that you have the power to push forward from this.
He literally like punches Simon in the face. He's like, come on, dude, get your shit together. It's like you can do this. It's like,
some not so subtle symbolism there by Hiroyuki Imaishi.
Yeah.
And then like
read those teeth.
This makes me think of like, so because like in real life, I'm sure you guys have probably experienced this. Most people have having a hype man just by your side when you're doing something, right? It just makes everything feel better. It's that confidence boost that you need. And, you know, believing in yourself, having that confidence boost is something, this type of winning mindset, for example. Like, in an esports game, a lot of people don't think, like, they're like, oh, it's 100% skill-based and this and that. I'm like, yeah, but there's also this mental fortitude that comes with it. You need to be hyped for the shit that you do. Like, this is why people go so crazy and go ape shit, like when they do a cool ass play, right? Like in CSGO or something. And it's just like having that mental image of like you're gonna win really helps. Like if you're already thinking, oh, you know what, I'm not confident in my skills, you've lost. Like you don't have that competitive edge now. And it's a big difference in mindset when you go into something thinking you are gonna win. Not that I hope I remember Berger thought about this too, right? Like the self-realizing the self-actualization thing. Where it's like where I was like, I hope I become a game dev. I hope this and that. And it's mainly because again, I'm a pessimistic guy. I look at things rationally and I wait like here are the pros and cons, here are the like things that could go wrong. And I like to create plans for everything. I like contingency plans. Yeah. However, that mental image that you create of yourself that hypes yourself up is very important to success. That type of confidence that you have when you speak, when you're interacting, when you're doing something you want to do, it will carry. People will see that type of confidence. Like that, it inspires people when you see someone else have that type of passion behind their words and their drive. Yeah,
it's why people say it sounds so cliche, but it's why people say fake it till you make it, because like confidence, whether it's real or fake, can get you so far in some like circles.
Yeah,
it's just like it's just you need to build a foundation for it, and then in order to like sort of get there, it's very hard to like I suppose get to that point when you can be with that confident, but. No, definitely. I agree with what you said.
And something about this quote is like it's kind of a two-way thing too, because while Kamin is saying it to Simone, you can also read it as like Simone, like once you get over this, you have to realize the same thing for other people. Like they may not believe in themselves, but you got to believe in them because it raises them up too.
And that translates so well later into the series, dude.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck, dude? It like not only is this a good just quote life lesson, but like it works so well in the context of Gurren Lagann when you watch it.
It's for the entire show for sure. It's
like holy shit.
Yes. God,
Yo,
Gurren Lagann is as much as we say Gurren Lagann is just stupid fun, which it is. Like if you actually sit and pay attention to some of the things that's said and done in Gurren Lagann, it's kind of deep in some points of it.
Bro, Gurren Lagann is an incredible show. It's like it's crazy how it starts out all fun and whatnot, but it just it's so good. It's just so emotional. It's so empowering. Again, it just it's great.
So can I ask you guys something? So I mentioned Gurren Lagann. It's one of those anime that I think came along at like a proper time in my life. But have any of you ever experienced that where in anime at least where it's been like an anime that came along at the exact right time in your life?
Yes. This relates directly to all right. So you're gonna carry that weight.
Yes.
That end title with from Cowboy Bebop in the last episode, it works super well because of like what happens in the story, right? Like it makes perfect sense for that, and then like seeing Spike. However, when I rewatched Cowboy Bebop, because I watched Bebop when I was a kid, right? And it was just like, yeah, you watch it on Toonami. But I rewatched it again, and during that time in my life, like this end credit quote fucking hit me. Like you're gonna carry that weight, because like I'm sure a lot of people have regrets in their lives. I'm also one of those people that have a lot of regrets in my life about actions that I've taken and things I've done to other people around me. And when I rewatched Bebop and I saw that end credit, I was just like, it hit me. I was just like, you're going to carry that weight. Like, you have to live with the consequences of your actions. And as much as it sucks, you're going to have to carry that weight. So for the future me, I think more about what I'm doing and how that impacts other people around me now. It made me more well-balanced as a person. Because I used to be a lot more selfish in regards to like how I acted. Like I just do whatever I mean, that still hasn't changed. I still do whatever I want to do. But now I actually do give a shit about like how it impacts other people. I do give that thought now.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop me from doing whatever I want to do, but I do have other people like I used to be extremely selfish and arrogant, to be honest. Like it's really calmed down. I used to be a lot worse. But yeah, it hit. And it hurt so bad because I was just like, I regretted so much of the things that I did back in the day and the people that I've impacted and like hurt. And for me to move on, seeing that quote, it's like I have to like not pay the piper, but I have to carry the weight. I have to live with those actions in my mind, and I have to try to improve on myself beyond that. And I tried to do the best that I can to make reparations to the people that I hurt during this time in my life where I just I fucked everything up, right? Like I was on track to do a lot of good things, and then all of a sudden I fucked it all up because of just it's very complicated. I don't want to talk about it because it's on a very personal level.
Yeah, I
for
get
me.
it.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's how I took this story.
But the idea that Watanabe uses in Cowboy Bebop, like you're gonna carry that weight, he relates it to weight. Like as an adult, I feel like we take on things like stress and responsibility, and it literally weighs us down after a time. And like you get to a point in your life, especially once you get past like your early 20s, when you're like 25, in your early 30s, like you gotta think about everything you decide to take on. Is it worth adding this weight to me? Is this interaction that I'm going to have where I'm going to yell at this person? Is it worth, the weight of having to burn that bridge? Is it worth, stuff like that?
Yeah.
And that's why I love the fact that they relate it to weight in Cowboy Bebop, because that's literally what it's like as an adult. Like every decision you make adds or subtracts weight from like your shoulders, basically.
Also, it's a really cool reference to a Beatles song, I thought.
It is.
Yeah. Bebop is so sad sometimes when it wants to be, Like,
I
remember...
It's definitely a fucking mood, man.
Dude,
Cowboy Bebop is definitely a fucking mood.
Like, one moment that stuck with me from Bebop is near the end of the show when, like, spoilers, I guess. I don't remember which episode it was, but really near the end of the show, there's, like, this episode where Ed and I leave, and Faye's, like, just fucked off to somewhere else, and you have this, like, moment of Spike and Jet just looking at, like, this entire table filled with like plates and eggs, because that's all they had to eat, and it said for like 4, and only they are left because both Ed and Faye left, and they're just like not saying anything. They're just looking at the eggs and just eat it, just feverishly, just keeps eating those fucking eggs. And in the background there's like call me playing. It's so sad because you realize that even though at first you meet both Jet and Spike and they're like, they're trying to be very like, they have the guards up, right? They're like very distant from other people. They have opened up, and they have opened up to Faye and Ed. And now that they're gone, it that sort of like, again, that sort of weight, that emotional weight is still with them. They're still carrying it with them. And they're like, they don't know how to handle that or communicate that, except for just, just like keep eating those damn eggs.
That's
so
scene,
sad.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and that scene is a great example of you don't need dialogue to carry.
No, definitely.
Sometimes the action or even inaction itself can tell you so much more than dialogue.
That scene is just no dialogue, only the song in the background, and it's like, it's so.
It's pretty impressive of Bebop to like. What is it when actors? It's like telling a story without saying a word, right? It's like the body
show,
language
don't
that
tell.
they use.
Just letting them emote.
Show, don't tell.
Yeah, they're like it's so, it's like deafening when you're watching it, because it's like this is why Bebop is such a really good show. R.I.P. Netflix. Like I didn't hate the Netflix one. I really didn't. I thought it was fun, campy. It is what it is.
You and I are in such a minority thinking that, John.
I know. However, when you compare it to Bebop, the anime, like, oh yeah,
it's
of course it doesn't. No comparison. Like, holy shit, is Bebop just a really good fucking show?
I think about that scene every now and then. It's so crushing.
I mean, the overarching story of Bebop is pretty fucking crushing. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's literally a crushing weight. But Natai, like, what? You said yes when I asked the question, so what was an anime that came along at the exact right time of your life?
So it's kind of a similar story to what John's saying, but I remember watching a little show called Monogatari. You might have heard of it. We talk about it all the time.
You might have. It's a little pokey show.
A little pokey
very
show.
Few people have ever heard of.
I remember watching that at a time in my life where I was very much trying to be like how would I say, like, put more emphasis on parts of me that I liked more than the parts I didn't, I suppose. And I remember watching Monogatari and enjoying it very much. And then I got to second season, and there's the Tsubasa Tiger arc. And literally, like, again, small spoilers, but literally, like, the sort of revelation about that entire arc, which, like, the whole, like, shtick with this arc is like, okay, we have this character, Hanekawa, let's just deconstruct her and understand her, like, what's she like as a person. And the sort of revelation about that arc is oh, she has this like both like distress and envious side of her that she is not trying to confront, as is like literally just cutting away from her soul, and that's creating these apparitions that cause this trouble. And the part that got me is at the end of the arc. There's this moment where she confronts these emotions, and she goes on this sort of spiritual journey of like trying to understand herself better. She's like, okay, I realize like this is just a part of who I am, and I need to accept that, like, and try and better these parts of myself, and not just like sort of like throw them away and like think of like and like fake it as if I am not this sort of person. So try and accept it and try and work on me as a person to be better about that. And that sentiment sort of like fucked me up for a bit, because like, especially at that time when I was watching it, I was like really, really trying hard to be someone I was probably not. I was trying to be like much more of like a cheerful person, in the sense of like always all the time happy, like I'm never down. It's like nothing will get me down. It's like it was a kind of like I really don't look back at that time very fondly. And that's seriously, that part where she's like literally just like embracing her like more negative sides, but like not in a way that allows her to be a shitty person, but just like a way to better herself, better understand herself. I was like, fuck, dude, it really did a number on me.
Yeah,
like it's. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, John. No, go ahead.
So it's very difficult to be introspective about yourself, right? Like no one really likes to face it, but like, so Persona 5 and Persona 4.
Okay.
Mainly Persona 4. One thing, a lot of people don't like Persona 4, the video game. I really like the video game. I love Persona 4 Golden. It's like my favorite remake, more than Fess. Persona 5 is really good too. But
3 is so
one
good,
thing 3 is really good. But one thing that I found really good about the Persona 4 series is that a lot of it is about facing yourself, right? Like literally the entire theme of
the name
Persona
of the
4
song is "Face Your True Self."
Yeah, face your true self, because it's very hard to be. It's very easy to make excuses, and it's very hard to be introspective and like subjective about yourself, because it's like it's always easier to just make an excuse, right? Like, oh, I couldn't do this because of this reason or this or that, right? And it's like it's not my fault. It wasn't me. It was like it's the people around me, right? And it's very difficult for people to really accept their true selves. Like I faced this personal plight as well. For a very long time, I did not like openly admit I liked cute things. I liked anime. Like I grew up in the fucking ghetto. I got to act like a fucking thug and like and do all this other shit. And it's like I wasn't happy, but it made me like they're like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. He came from the hood." So that's who I was. But then after high school, I stopped. I didn't fucking talk to any of these people that I was trying to impress no more. I didn't give a fuck no more. And like, I became more well-rounded and just like, you know what? You should be able to enjoy everything that you are. And you should be able to celebrate who you are. Like being able to be open about what I like and not being afraid of other people's perceptions. Like I get flack all the time for like, I wear like, I have a pink pug hat that I like wearing. Because I like, pug in a pink suit's my alter ego now. So other people like they always like, oh, look at him, he's wearing pink. Are you fucking gay? I'm just like, no, I just like this fucking hat. Like, what of it? Like, oh, okay. Like
Step
a lot
up,
of people
bro.
just, like I'm not gonna get defensive and try to like throw hands. Like I'm not that person no more. But not to say I'm not gonna fucking throw hands. I'll fucking beat anyway. No,
It's just like that. It's like it's that part of like sort of like, and again, you can only speak for personal experience of like sort of distancing yourself for like parts of you that are like, and that's kind of like, I don't know, it's a really frustrating sort of struggle, because you're looking at yourself, and I think a lot of people like find parts in themselves that they either don't like or like trying to understand how to improve, and that specifically is, I think, the way to go. Just figure out how to do better in those parts instead of like
the scariest thing is when you can realize that there's something about yourself you don't like and you cannot figure out how to change it.
It's a struggle. Scary. It's a real struggle, bro. Yeah.
I think it's something that drug addicts kind of face too. Like it's something that you know is wrong, but
you don't understand how to break that cycle.
To change it.
Yeah, how to break the habit.
Vicious cycle.
Yeah.
No, but another thing from Monogatari that is really good, and it's something you and I have been talking about as we've been rewatching it, is that recurring theme throughout Monogatari that only you can save yourself.
Literally,
Because
when John
in
was
Monogatari,
talking, I had to
you
write
have
it
the main
down.
character, Koyomi, who goes to all these characters that have these issues, and while he can temporarily solve them, they don't go away, and they only go away when he's not around.
Which is like back to Hanekawa. Literally, like she quote unquote gets saved like twice in the show, and then when it gets to that arc, it's like I love that they also put in the OP in the song. She's like literally like I need to figure this out by myself. Now I need to save myself. Like when we talked about Gurren Lagann and like we talked about like the thesis of the show, I'm like, oh shit, Monogatari, the whole thesis is literally only you can save yourself, and it's such a like powerful message to me. It's like you can sometimes I find myself like looking for answers from other people or trying to understand situations better by like asking other people for help or like making suggestions and whatnot. But at the end of the day, only you can solve your own problems, right? You can ask for help and you should go seek help, but
and other people can put you on the right path.
Yeah, like someone can open a door for you, but only you can walk through that door, right?
Yeah.
Well, because like a lot of change within yourself. Because I'm someone who, like in the Monogatari series, I learned that only I can save myself from all these problems that I created for myself. Like, well, if it isn't the consequences of my actions, right? Like, and it's hard, dude. It's really hard to face yourself and like try to make that change, because you have to fundamentally, if you don't want to change, you won't change. You can't force someone to change who they are. They have to want it really, truly, and deeply, and they have to figure it out that they want help. You can't push. You can offer advice. You can help push them in the right direction, but you can't carry them there.
Yeah,
like that's a goal that they need to cross themselves,
and it's a decision they have to make
it
themselves.
Well, I don't think you have to make it yourself, but it could be decided for you, man. Interventions are a thing.
I mean, okay, fair enough, but you still have to be willing to abide by it. I mean, you can't just like if run away from it.
Yeah, you can't. If you yourself don't want to make that change because you find it like it's, again, you're going to make excuses.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not my fault, this or that.
It's
like
too difficult.
Yeah, of course it's going to be difficult. Nothing in life, nothing that's good in life is easy, like, to be honest.
Nothing worth doing is easy.
As someone was a part of an intervention, like you can try as much as you want to help someone else, but if they don't want to help themselves, it's not going to go anywhere, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
which sucks.
Again, that requires that introspection, which the Monogatari series is really good at.
Yeah, I would hope so, considering how much of the narrative is based around dialogue.
Yeah, right.
Man, Monogatari is so good.
But speaking about paying a price, there's an anime called New Game, which it has 2 seasons, and it's really cute, and like it's, in general, I wouldn't say it's too deep, but there's a quote from New Game that really stuck with me, and I for the life of me cannot remember who said it, but the quote is, "There's always a personal price to pay, especially if you're doing something that you love."
Now, to preface this, I don't personally think this is a good quote to live by. In the context of the anime.
Yes, in the context of the anime, it's actually not that great advice. In life, though, this is actually something to keep in mind, especially if you're like embark on some kind of a personal project that is going to take a lot of your time up.
Yeah, so like for passion projects, like hobby things, like for example,
like
this podcast. I lose a lot of sleep over it. I'm constantly balancing things and like canceling plans and stuff of my own personal life to try to make it work, because I like doing this podcast. It's more of a hobby than anything else. Like it's a personal price I have to pay, especially because it's something I love doing, right? Mm-hmm. In the context of New Game, it's about being overworked and like crunch culture in general. Like I don't agree with crunch culture, so that's why I say the context of this quote kind of matters. In the game, in the gaming industry, I don't think anyone should do crunch culture anymore. Like we're past that. Don't work 80 hours and only get paid for 40. Fuck that noise. Unionize, rise up, this and that. Like, don't get me started. I'm so pro union. Like,
Oh, I remember who says it now. So in the show, it's said by Ko, who is like the, I don't think she's not the like the owner or the head honcho of the company, but she is the head of the department that the main character Alba works in, and she sleeps in her office constantly.
Oh, that's her?
And yeah, and she says this to Alba when she comes in one day and finds her asleep in her office. And
is
she's
she
asking,
the
like, why do you
the
sleep
one
in
who
your
likes
office so
survival
much?
games? Like,
It's the
she likes
blonde
playing.
chick.
Yeah, the blonde girl.
Okay, it's not
The one who constantly like sleeps naked in her office.
AKA the cutest.
Yeah. Yikes. Anyway.
But yeah, it is essentially about crunch culture and about how like she's so brainwashed by it. Like, yeah, I love this and I feel like I should do it just because I love it.
But yeah, I think that outside of the context of the anime, I think the quote itself is actually really good for real life examples. Like, don't be afraid to chase your hobbies. Don't be afraid to like just be passionate about something.
But also know that if you do this, there's gonna be a personal price to pay. It's gonna take away free time that you have. It's gonna take away potentially time with friends or family or loved ones.
Yeah, like
Take away money.
Everything costs something, right? There's always a certain relatable relative cost to what you're doing, whether it's time or whether it's like, I don't know, sleep. It doesn't really matter. But there always is something to pay to do something that you love to do.
Because there's always so much time in a day. Like, you can't split
at
it
least
all the
for,
time.
let's say, in the context of being a fucking weeb, there has been plenty of nights where I'm like, I could get about 8 hours of sleep. Alternatively, I could stay up for 4 hours and read this new manhwa I just fucking discovered, right? And it's like, I made that choice. I have to live with the consequences. And, you know, my personal price that I paid is I'm super fucking tired now, not ready for the day, but I got to read my manhwa. That happens all the time.
Watch another episode, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
could
it's
watch
like,
just one more episode.
because
It's fine.
because it's good for the soul to do things like that. To do things that just like, it may not be good for your physical health, because you should never short yourself on sleep. But like today, I shorted myself on sleep so we could do our recordings because of problems and things we needed to do today. And it's just like, that's fine. Like I'm paying this price now, and it's okay. I'm okay with it because this is something that I love to do.
And I think, John, you've talked about it before, like, when you see people in our Discord server, like, post art in our art channel of, like, our podcast characters, it, like, warms your heart. It's like, yeah, there's people that like this shit. Or people who talk about in our chats, like, hey, the new episode was really good.
Like, the type of feedback that we get. Yeah, like, the people who comment on our YouTube videos or just leave likes or,
Thank you.
Emails, and, like, it warms my heart because, at the end of the day, we're doing this because we like doing it, not because we're trying to make money or anything like that. It's just like, it's a passion project, and
it is.
If whether or not it becomes big and we come, we're gonna be on Trash Taste next year or something, living in Japan like them, like that's not the end goal. Like, it's all about just being able to share in this thing that we have together. And I'm gonna be completely honest. In this climate, it's super hard to be an anituber because, man, the content just dries up. Like, I get why Joey isn't the anime man anymore.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking hard to keep trying to create content over anime because anime is just anime, man. There's not that much depth to it as much as we try to like put the depth to it, and we can be like overly analytical about things, and we can certainly try to be philosophical about things, but at the end of the day, like, it's just a different medium for entertainment, and what you take away from it is whatever you want. Like, you don't have to take the lessons away that other people say, oh no, it's about this, right? You don't have to do that. You can just sit there and just enjoy watching something. Even if you're fucking wrong, Guilty Crown sucks. I know you know that, John. I know you're listening. Fuck you, buddy.
Yeah, fuck John.
Yeah, fuck
John.
that guy.
Fuck that
Anyway.
guy. He sucks. Yeah, it's, I don't know, that kind of stuff always. In the context of New Game, like, I get that it's a parody and like it's a commentary really on crunch culture in Japan. But outside of this, like outside of the context of New Game, this is actually really good advice.
Did you guys end up like ever go back to a show you watched like a long time ago and you sort of like come out of it with a new realization or something that you're like, man, like, I haven't picked up on that first time I watched it.
Yeah,
freaking Gurren Lagann. I talk about that all the time.
Yeah, like, true, yeah.
I mean, there's something that I rewatched a couple of years ago that is a few years old now, and I came away with a completely different opinion of a character. I rewatched. I think it was like back in 2019, 2020. I can't remember. I rewatched The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, and I realized that Haruhi is literally just the most depressed person in the world, and she's literally just trying to find anything
Fill
to
the void, yeah.
fill the void, yeah. And I'm like, I literally came away with this like, this is actually a commentary on fucking depression.
So yeah, so for me it would be like I've rewatched Code Geass so many times, but when I first watched it, I was just like, I fucking hate Rollo. Fuck that guy. But after rewatching it, I'm like, I don't fucking hate Rollo anymore. Like, he's just as much a victim of the circumstances as anyone else. And I was like, damn. So yeah, that's definitely, yeah. I feel bad for Rollo now. I cry. Before I was like, good, fuck you. But now I cry for Rollo when I see him. I'm like, oh, poor boy, dude. Like, I feel so bad for him. But Code Geass is just a really good fucking anime, man.
It's
my favorite.
The 2 seasons, you right? The only
the 2 seasons. It's my favorite anime for a good reason.
It's your favorite 2-season anime.
Of course. But like, so this next quote is from I really liked Rurouni Kenshin growing up. It was just like, it was a cool samurai show that I watched on like Toonami, and like I loved watching it every Saturday when it came out. I never really took away any lessons from it as a kid, because you're a kid, you don't really pick up on anything like that. But Rurouni Kenshin is actually pretty depressing, considering it's about like the Batosai, some guy who during the war killed a bunch of people, and he has a lot of regret over what he did. And like it's just like how he interacts with the world, and like the quotes that Rurouni Kenshin always gives out, like, whatever you lose you'll find again, but when you throw it away you'll never get it back. That like that quote is it fucking hits, dude, because it's true. When you lose something, you will find it again, because loss is something that we all will go through, and it sucks. It really does. But there's plenty of stories about like people like losing, for example, in anime, they lose their comrades, but they find new comrades, right? And then they want to protect that new, a la Berserk.
No, don't get me started with Berserk. Oh my god.
So it's like, that's what it means. But when you throw something away, you don't get it back, because you actively chose to throw that away. And it's like you lose something of yourself that you can't get back, because you've made that decision to throw it out.
Like when you burn a bridge with someone you know.
Yeah. And
I have that thing too. Like, I used to have, when I was younger, I used to have no qualms whatsoever about burning bridges with people that pissed me off or fucked me over. But now, as I've gotten older and I've gotten a little, like, I've thought about stuff like this. It's like, if I'm gonna burn a bridge with someone, I have to be absolutely sure that I don't want anything to do with them ever again. Because I don't want to have to come back groveling and it's like, hey, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, like for me, so this is another one of the animes that I rewatched, and it just like gave me a different perspective on my own life. But for example, this relates to me and my family. For a very long time, I just hated hanging out with them, like my extended family and stuff, because I'm just like, I come from a culture that really values family and really values like being close knit and stuff like that. And it was just annoying to me, because growing up, they always were mean to me. They're always like doing things to me that I was just like, I blame them for, right? Like being into anime and being into weird shit. It's like, no, you can't do that. Like, you got to be normal like the rest of the kids. Like, we have to act a certain way, right? And I resented them for that. And I actively was trying to like lose contact with them. Like, I actively like, hey, do you want to, it's so-and-so's birthday. Are you going to come? I'm like, yeah, sure, I will. And I'd never fucking show up. And eventually, like, they stopped inviting me to places, because they're like, oh, he's always busy, or he never has time. And to be fair, I am pretty busy. But it's like, you can make time for them. I just chose not to. And it really fucked me up, because now that I'm older in life, I realize like, this is my fucking family, regardless of how I felt about them when I was younger. I realize now that family is family, and you stick together through everything, and that family relationships that we just naturally drifted apart, I was able to reconnect with them, and that was great. But the ones that I actively just burned, I will never be able to repair those relationships ever again. And if I do try to repair them, it's going to take a lot more work than it was to just reconnect. And
it may not be the same as it was before.
Yeah, and it just makes me feel like,
It will take a lot of effort to rebuild, for sure. Yeah.
well, I just feel like such a shitty person because of how I treated my own fucking family. Like, this whole idea that I was better than them because I'm smart or something, or that they're stupid or they don't understand this and that. Like, it, because again, growing up, I had a lot of conflicts. I had a lot of like problems in my home, and learning to let go of that, learning to love yourself, and then learning to love others around you, and seeing who really loves you and who will hold you like accountable. It's like there's so many life lessons that anime has given me. It's kind of cringe.
This is a really good one though from Rurouni Kenshin, and it's something that I personally can sympathize with as well. Like when I was growing up, when I was younger, like middle school, high school aged, like I had a very strained relationship with my father. We didn't exactly see eye to eye on a lot. We still don't see eye to eye on a lot, but it got to that point where we were butting heads so often that it was and arguing with each other that it was like it's almost like we didn't like each other very much. And my mom came to me one day. It's like, you need to actually sit down and talk to each other instead of at each other all the time, which is, looking back now, is what we were doing. We weren't talking to each other. We were both talking at each other. And so one day, I can't remember if it was when I was a junior or a senior in high school, but he and I just sat down one day and just talked. And we didn't talk at each other. We didn't try and talk over each other. We didn't yell at each other. We didn't scream at each other. We just talked to each other. And our relationship has been fine ever since. It was one of those things where, and I got to the point where it's like, when I turn 18, I'm just going to leave. So I don't have to have anything to do with this man ever again. But I'm glad that I sat down and I talked with him, because now that I have a really great relationship with both of my parents, even though that we still don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff.
I feel like a lot of teens go through that phase, right?
Oh,
where
for
it's like
sure.
Your rebellious phase, but more so that like, no one understands me. It's not a fucking phase, Mom.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's pretty, because
you're hormonal,
say,
a lot of things go through
well,
you.
yeah,
It's like,
because when you're a kid, when you're a teenager, you think you know so much.
Exactly.
When in reality, you may know some stuff, but you don't know everything.
Yeah.
And to become more well-balanced and well-rounded, you got to really go out into the world and interact with other people and realize, like, maybe it's not as bad as you thought it was initially. It might have been it might have meant the world to you back then, but relatively speaking to where you are now, at least, as you get older, right? That's like you get more mature, and because you gain life experience, and you realize a lot of things. Like, again, with my family, I realized that they were mean to me, but they weren't trying to be hurtful. It's just like, that's just how they communicate, because they didn't understand, right? And it's not their fault that I didn't try to make them understand or help them understand, right? It's not like I actively was like, no, you just don't understand anime. Like, let me show it to you, this and that. And it's like, that's kind of on you. Like, if you have something strange and people are like, that's fucking weird, like, show them into the world then. Help them understand your point of view. And if they don't want to, or they actively are just like, fuck you, that's stupid, like that, then that's fine to cut them out then. But if you don't try to communicate with them first, then why would you think they would communicate with you, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Like, if you've always got to give, and it's not about and I get that it sucks that you're always the one who has to initiate and you're the one who has to make them understand, but that's the only way for them to. It's hard because it's hard to bridge. Like, it's very rare that you would get people who want to bridge into your world and understand what you're doing, right? Like, that's usually reserved for your significant others.
It's
Usually.
funny. It's funny when we talk about all these different shows about these people are having a hard time communicating with each other. But like, that's the thing. Like, as much as I know, I'm a person who's like very much into like, cut through the bullshit and just talk about how you feel. But it's very hard to talk about how you feel sometimes. It's like, even though we talk about it all the time, when you reach that point where you're having a conversation about it, sometimes it's, even when you're actually talking about it, sometimes it's very hard to communicate the feelings you're having to that other person, right?
Yeah.
Even though anime is very much extreme sometimes about the way it portrays it, it's a very human thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes, like, you have these moments where, like, you don't really want to communicate how you feel. You just need to feel angry or upset or sad or lonely, or because, like, having those feelings sometimes is cathartic.
Not gonna lie, sometimes just shouting about your feelings is like what you need to do to let it all out.
Tell us, Matai, how's that go for you?
Well, I totally didn't lose my voice 24 hours before we started recording, right? Yeah. That was an episode for
I bet
sure.
your neighbors really like that, hearing you scream.
Oh no, I was in the car, like driving somewhere, listening to music. I was like fucking having a breakdown. It's like, yeah, no one heard me.
Dang. Not having even the good breakdown, dude. The breakdown.
Breakdown.
Why could I imagine him just rolling along, stewing in his car? All of a sudden, that comes on, and he just starts screaming the lyrics.
I mean, you joke, but there were literally times ever since I started driving where like a song will come up that will just like it will hit me in the right moment, and I'll just fucking bail out those lyrics like no one. Oh damn! Like man, I don't know. Sometimes we just like for music for some reason sometimes really helps me just like I don't know like let out some things that are inside me. You know, like whenever I'm having a really shitty day, just singing along and just like letting all that energy out sometimes really help. It's very cathartic.
I mean, music has healing properties because it like accesses a different part of your brain. It's really associated with like a lot of memory making and like skills. It's there's an actual like neurological reason for it. However, as a music nerd, I like music.
Yeah,
I sing. I sang in choir and stuff in school.
Oh shit, really?
Right there. Yeah, I sang in choir. I like singing a lot. I like music a lot. I like listening to it, but it's like because again with the whole when people create stuff you can feel the emotion behind it, right? Things that you can relate to, feelings that you can relate to, and it just translates so beautifully. And that's why like obviously singing along in the car, like a lot of people do it for that reason.
Yeah, it's also just a great time to be alone if you're just driving around by yourself. Whether you're listening to music or not, you have your own thoughts.
Bro, Linger by the Cranberries, I'm telling you, that song will destroy you. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway. Well, one last one that I definitely wanted to talk about is from an anime called Jormungand, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, John was the one who suggested I sit down and watch this show.
That's how you pronounce that name? I thought it's Jormungand.
Yeah, Jormungand.
No,
it's Jormungand.
Okay.
It's
Norse, right?
Yeah, it's based on like an actual. The name comes from like an actual Norse legend, I believe. But if I remember right, it was John that told me to sit down and watch this. He thought it's something that I would actually enjoy, and boy, did I ever! This is, in my opinion, Jormungand is a very underrated anime. There's also 2 seasons of it out there, so go and watch it if you haven't. But there's a quote from that. From Jormungand that kind of stuck out to me. I won't say that it's necessarily like super inspirational, but it's something that I do think about from time to time. And it's the phrase is "happiness is a choice, circumstances be damned." And it's basically saying, because not to really spoil too much, but like some of the story of Jormungand is about the outbreak of World War III, and which you would imagine is not a happy time for a lot of people. And like. The idea that, obviously there are extenuating circumstances that can really tear you down, that can really just beat the shit out of you, especially if you let it. But even if it's something really, really small and minute, you can look at something and choose to be happy about it, even in the most unhappy, even in the most shitty of times.
Yeah.
So I think it's funny that you chose this quote for Jormungand, because it's like when you compare like what the story is about and what happens, it's like you're kind of the person creating the unhappiness, dude.
Yeah.
It's what's the fucking word I'm trying to put here? It's when you compare it to, it's not hypocritical, but it's like when it's I don't fucking know. I can't think right now. We've been recording for too long. Far too long. But it's just so weird to hear this quote about like happiness, considering like what she does. She's the one who creates the war orphans, dude. Like, what the fuck? But it's still
out of touch, maybe.
Not out of touch. It's when two things are completely drastic in nature. When you like the
antithesis.
Yeah, not really. There's something else I was gonna say about like to compare it, but the point is, happiness is a choice. Circumstances be damned, because happiness is what you make of it. That's also another. There's so many. Every single thing we've listed here is a lesson that I've learned through anime and just like reinforced through life. But happiness is about, it's relative to you and what you make of it. Like not all our situations are fine, but our happiness is going to be relative to what we make of our situations. Like some people have it rough, some people don't have it as rough as those people, but everyone has it rough in their own ways. And I know that it's like people make that fucking comparison, like, oh, I'd rather be like, I'd rather be rich and fucking unhappy than not fucking rich and unhappy, right? But
yeah,
it's like everyone has their own problems, man. And regardless of whether or not you think their problems are worse than yours, because there's always going to be someone who has problems worse than you, man.
Everyone's lives can be hard just by their own scale, right?
Yeah, like I think my life is pretty tough right now with all the medical stuff going on, but you know, it's relative. Like it's not the worst it could be, and I'm still happy that I'm blessed to have friends and family, and I still have a job, I still have money, you know, like relatively I'm happy with what I have. And some other people put in this situation without my type of life experience, they might be like, this is the worst time of my life. This might be the lowest of the low that they've ever gotten.
Rock bottom.
Yeah, but circumstances be damned, like it's what you make of it, man. Like I know that it's shitty to say like, oh, you don't have to be rich, this and that, you don't have to improve your life situation. Like go ahead if you want to improve your life situation, you want to improve your money making, whatever you think is going to make you happy, do it. Go ahead and chase that dream. But the choice to be happy while you're doing it, while chasing these dreams or just living through your circumstances, it's choice.
Yeah,
it's really a personal choice.
You bring up money. It's like, in my own personal experience, some of the most miserable people I've ever met in my life are the people that have the most money, and some of the happiest people I've ever met are the people that have almost no money.
I mean, I don't agree.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mainly because I'm super classist. That's why. Because I hate the rich. Like eat the rich, you know, down with the 1%.
But there's still a lot of people that are uber rich that are just personally very miserable.
Yeah, like because success and wealth does not equate happiness. Like that is 100% true, because happiness is what you make of it. I'm gonna be honest, I could be dead broke working a dead end job, but as long as I have like my dog and I have my girlfriend, I think I'd be fine. Like I'd survive to the next day.
Well, I think a lot of people that are lower on the like income scale, it's because they are almost forced by their circumstances to find enjoyment out of things that are what a lot of people, especially like middle class and upper class people, would think are like nothing. And maybe that's why they're happy, because they can make happiness out of so much less.
Well, you got to make do with what you got, and you celebrate the small things that do happen, right? Because when you have nothing at all, you see how easy it is to like if you've ever experienced homelessness, you know how easy it is. Like you're literally one paycheck away from, like, what was it 60% of Americans are one paycheck or two paychecks away from homelessness?
Oh shit!
I think that was like
more or less. And there's also that phrase that I think society is like 3 missed meals away from breaking down.
Quite honestly, yeah. And it's really scary thought.
That's depressing.
It really is. But like, if you've ever suffered anything like, you know, like that, this type of loss, you know that things come and go. So your happiness is going to be relative to what you make of it because of that. You always want to celebrate the small things. No matter how small it is, the small victories help put you through to the next day. And overall, it makes me a better and happier person now that I'm not like, I have these standards where I'm like super, because it's all that stress really too. When you think about it, like there's a lot of stress that comes with it. And when I learned to let go and just celebrate the small victories, I've definitely mellowed out. I'm definitely not suicidal anymore. So that's a good thing.
That's definitely a positive direction you're going in.
Well, because it's like having that much expectations and not celebrating the small things, it makes living life really tough.
It does. And
it's because I wasn't celebrating, and because it was like I had this high standard of like, I have to do this. If I don't do it, I'm a piece of shit. And it really fucks me up. And it did fuck me up for a long time, where I was just like, I have to, like, there are certain goals that I need to meet. And I felt like I was at a dead end job, and I felt like I was at the end of my rope. I really did. Like, it's a very scary thing to feel like you have nothing to live for anymore. Right. And
it's a like, very, very, very scary thought process. When you get
and now that I think about it, it's like, it's because I chose to not celebrate the small things and celebrate myself, right? On top of not being happy with who I wasn't happy with the fact that I was trying to be someone I wasn't. Like there's a lot of things wrong.
Because it's very, very, like, you can easily fall to that pit of, like, that thought process because you tend to forget, oh, shit, that are, like, other people who give a shit about me. Like, there's more things, like, in life that currently that are, like, are good, even though it might not look like it, right?
Yeah. Well, and not only that, I think it's very important to celebrate. If you're in the middle of doing like trying to accomplish a goal that requires you to go through a process of things, right? I think you need to at least personally, whether it's internally or externally, celebrate every single thing you accomplish along that path to that whatever goal that is. Good example. Back when I first graduated college, I was fat. I was really fat. I think I've shown Natai pictures of what I used to look like back then.
Yeah, I remember.
I was 350 plus pounds. I was enormously large. And I was miserable. But one day I saw myself in the mirror and I was like, this is not going to work. I need to actually start trying to change, my habits, my eating habits, my workout habits. I need to actually change myself for the better. And I started very, very slow. I started just walking. I started really just slowly limiting how much calories I was taking in every day. And like the first time I stepped on a scale and I realized that I had lost just a single pound, I celebrated that. And that made, next there was 2 pounds and then 4 pounds and then 8 and then 16. And it's like it started coming off faster and faster as I was doing more and more, just slowly incrementing myself. And I celebrated every single time that I got that one step closer to my goal.
How did that quote from BoJack Horseman went? It's like, it gets easier, but you gotta do it every day. That's the hard part.
Yeah, and that's what it is. Like, that's what losing that much weight, because like right now I hover around between like 190 and 210, but it took I want to say about a year and a half to lose all of that weight.
Dude, now you look fucking great.
Well, I still got a little ways to go, but
So I'm pretty sure in BoJack Horseman he comes back and says it never got easier, but it got easier to do it every day.
Yeah,
right?
it's like is Ronnie, and then he sees this like fucking monkey or exercises, and he asks him, "Does it get any easier?" It's like, and he just said it like it gets easier, but you gotta do it every day. That's the hard part. It's like dude.
Yeah, but then at the end of it, BoJack's like, it never got easier, but he still kept doing it every day.
Yeah.
Speaking of, it doesn't get easier to do, but it does get easier to do it every day.
Yeah.
The more you do it.
yeah.
Non-anime.
becomes a habit.
That show has so many
like
lines like that. We're like, fuck.
It's that's discipline versus like motivation. Like Arnold famously said, motivation comes and goes. Like, it's about the discipline. I'm just paraphrasing what he said, but
yeah. But it's important, especially if you're doing a process like that of gradual change, especially for like personal change, which is what I was doing. I mean, yeah, it's a physical change, but it's still a change. Now, obviously, I would say it's a little easier than changing something like your personality or whatever, but it's still a process where every single time you see improvement, you need to celebrate it at least a little bit, or you're going to get demotivated after a while.
Yeah.
Especially when I got to a point where I was, my weight loss had plateaued. That, first of all, that was a sign to me I go a little harder now, or I need to, watch what I eat even more like a hawk than I already am. But like, you can easily demotivate yourself if you don't celebrate the successes that you do have, no matter how little they are. And I think that's when you get to that happiness is a choice thing. It's like, I chose to be happy about those incremental successes that I have, even if they were tiny.
It's so funny when you brought up like exercising and gym, because I remember, I remember watching Black Clover with my friend, and that fucking show was like, man, what a trash fire, what a stupid show. But then I remember, like, of all the shows that sort of hit me, I remember like watching that show, and especially the beginning, like, you have this like fucking Asta, this stupid blockhead character, and you're like, it's so fucking obnoxious, it's so stupid. It's like, okay, sure. But this fucking guy, like, every now and then, so he's all like shtick, he exercises a lot. He like trains his body physically because he can't use magic. And he would always go like, Mara Mara! It's like, not enough, gotta keep going. And I remember, like, that fucking hit me while, like, so around that time, my friend got me into, like, starting exercise more, going to the gym, and, like, actually committing to a schedule of, like, going X amount of times to the gym and doing your sets and just trying to, like, improve yourself more physically and be more healthy. And I remember like while we did that, we watched Black Clover. That's sort of like just like something in me just sort of like connected to that. And like whenever I would just like do sets, I'd be like pushing myself more, like not enough. I need to keep going, like more, and like pushing myself even more to the limit. And I was like, this fucking show, how did they do that to me?
Dude, the power of friendship got to you, man.
Dude, the power of shonen boys got to me. I was like, damn. It's like, and like for that show is trash, and I love that trash. But man, like, that part specifically really got to me. I'm like, yeah, I do need to push myself more. I need to like be like trying to like take this more seriously and try and be better at that. And I'm glad I'm trying to, at least.
When you started your workout thing, you did it with friends, right?
Yeah.
See, I did.
It's way easier with friends, definitely.
When I first started working out, I was doing it alone. But like, I want to say about 2 months into it, I found like a small friend group that was also kind of in the middle of doing the same thing that I was. And the best thing about it was like we were pumping each other up every single time we would work out together. That was the best thing ever, because not only was I celebrating my individual successes, we got to celebrate each other's successes as well.
That's the main thing I like tell people who like try to get into shape. Like do it with do it with your friends. Like that's the only reason I managed to keep like committing to it and keep going, is because like I went with friends, and it really helps a lot. Like I can't stress that enough.
That was the same for me. Like I started going to the gym to lift, and my buddy, he didn't know how to lift like weights, but he wanted to get bulk because he was getting kind of like chubby. So I was like, fuck it, like let's go lift weights together. Like I used to lift weights when I played football, so
really, like
I can, I was on the football team too.
Wait, what?
Dude, you don't know so much about me. It's so crazy. But he was my workout buddy, and it got to the point where like on my off days from work, like we went to a gym near where we worked because we worked together at the same place. And on my off days when I wasn't supposed to be on shift, I'd still show up and we'd go work out like the same days. Like it was just kind of thing we just did like 4 times a week.
It's so helpful.
It's so helpful having a gym buddy. Like, where is your battle buddy? So, because it's like, you know, you create bonds and stuff like that, and it helped me lose like about 50 pounds, which
nice.
I was like, my heaviest I got to was like 320, and I got down to like 270. I believe I'm at 250 now, so I've still got a lot of ways to go to be. But I mean, I've really slowed down because I'm like more of a, I'm just happy with myself. Like I don't care about like trying to get fit or anything anymore. Like, I want to stay fit. I don't need to be like, I don't need to get Channing Tatum's stripper body anymore.
Oh yeah,
when
for sure.
First started wanting to work out, like, and because I wouldn't say I have body dysmorphia about that, but I definitely do look at myself. I'm like, I'm overweight, need to lose some weight. But that doesn't tie into my own personal happiness. But I do like celebrating like how far I've come. Like my girlfriend is really good about that. She's like, because I recently last week I went through all my old clothes from like high school. And I'm like, I was wearing like triple XLs and stuff. Like I wear XL now, and I'm just like, I used to be super fucking fat. Holy fuck. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, when I lost all my weight, like that was one of the happier things. Like when I actually had to go buy new clothes, because all the clothes I did have were like a fucking tent on me.
Oh man, no, complete opposite. Now I'm like, fuck, I have to replace my whole wardrobe. I have to buy all these new clothes and spend money. Fuck.
Goddamn money.
That's awesome, dude. Honestly.
Yeah, it's great. And those are the things that we're celebrating. And it all goes back to that happiness is a choice. You have to choose to celebrate those things. Otherwise, like you're probably not going to keep them up because you'll get burned out with the actual hard work that it takes to get to it. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm prepared to talk about Berserk.
Dude, we have to. We got to talk about Berserk and follow.
I think Berserk would actually be a great way to end this. So go for it, man.
Fuck, where do I start even? Berserk really fucked me up on that. So like we talked about it plenty of times. Remember there was this one WTF that Burger was on that we really went into it, just like dug into that whole thing. There's this whole like, one of the crucial moments in the entire story is when Gut sort of confronts this idea of like, he hears Griffiths talking about like a real friend to me is someone who has his own dream who is trying to pursue. And that sort of like distorts everything that Guts thought about their relationship, because he thought Griffith was his friend, and then he realized, shit, I've been fighting this entire time for his dream, and I don't even know what's my own dream. And then it sort of starts this whole chain of events of him trying to like understand what his dream is, of like what does he want to live for, right? And
yeah, because Griffith like has this grand dream this entire time.
Yeah.
And to truly be his friend, to be his equal, he has to have someone who stand on the same level as him.
Exactly. And that sort of like maybe it's just like, I don't know, that moment for me as well was like sort of, I have a lot of friends who each have their own like roads they're taking right now, whether it's school or jobs or whatnot, or just traveling, or I don't know. And for me, it's the same. I'm like, fuck, what do I want to do? It's like, what do I want to do with my life? Do I want to just keep working in this like the realm of expertise I'm trying to understand right now? Do I want to go study something? Do I want? It's that sort of like trying to find that purpose that a lot of people probably are searching for. And it's hard, dude. It's like an everyday struggle of like understanding, is this what I want to do? Is this really it? It's, I don't know. I wanted to talk about it for a bit because I find it really, really interesting. It's something that I think about almost every day, honestly.
I had a revelation sort of like that when I was about to graduate high school. It was never a question for me whether I was going to college or not. My parents made that abundantly clear. You're going to college, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
we already paid for this shit. You're going to college. So when I was in the process of, you know, my senior year of high school and I was going to graduate, I had this thing that's like, what the hell do I want to study when I'm in college?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know for sure. Like, there's a part of me that I've always loved computers. Like, why don't I just go like for IT or information science or something like that? But there were all these other things throughout my life that I had interests in, and I thought, well, maybe I should pursue that as a realm of study. And it's like, crazy thing now. I came up with like a list of 20 things that I might major in college.
Mm-hmm.
During my senior year of high school, and one of the things on that list that I look at now and laugh at is botany.
I thought you were gonna say marine biology.
No, no, I never thought
Jotaro
about marine
Kujo.
biology.
Yeah.
But I did think about botany. And something else that was on that list was astronomy. European history was another one that was on that list.
Really?
I don't know. I came up with a bunch of other stuff, but eventually I settled on like IT. But no, it was one of those things where I came at this crossroad that's like, okay, the ball is in my court now. I have to make this decision. How do I fucking make this decision?
It feels so, because honestly, that's where I'm at. Like currently, I'm like fine with the job I have to some extent. Like this like whole internet infrastructure like thing is going fine so far, but every now and then, like my dad especially would be like, so do you know what you want to study in university? Because they told me to help with the like with like paying for it and whatnot, which is like, I'm really grateful for that. But every time I'm like, I honestly don't know. I don't know. It's like it comes to that like cluelessness, if that's a word, where like, what the fuck do I want to do? It's like, maybe I want to go to film school, but do I really want to do it? Is that like an actual like career path that I think I'm able to take? Like, I don't know. It's, yeah, like ever since Berserk, like especially recently, that sort of like hit me, that like trying to understand what do you actually want to do with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
See, I feel like 90% of the people in college, as someone who's also in college right now for the third time in my life, I've tried to do college multiple times, and I completely
Does it get
relate
easier?
to like I relate so much to Guts about this like journey about trying to find out his own dream, because like 90% of kids going to college right now, they don't know what the fuck they want to do. They you just pick one, right, and then you kind of go for it, and it's scary because one, college is fucking expensive. We don't live. At least I don't live. I live in the U.S. where you pay out the ass for everything.
Yeah.
So college is very fucking expensive. And funding that, working full-time and funding that out of my own pocket really fucking sucks.
We live in a country where the only way to escape from college debt is to die.
That's crazy.
Not even that. They're going
the whole
after
college
they go
that
after
you guys
next
have.
of kin nowadays. But No, like thankfully I'm at a place where I work where they pay for like 90% of my schooling, so I don't have to deal with that shit anymore.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fucking amazing. Unionize, unionize, unionize. This is how you get your companies to pay their fucking worth to you. Take fucking good care of your unions and use your benefits. But yeah, like I've been drifting just like everyone else along, like trying, like, do I want to go into, originally I was going to go into the electrical engineering, and I was like, I did a year, and then I was just like, I don't really fucking feel like doing this. It's a very competitive field, doubly so because a lot of white and Asian men are engineers, so they don't really want to hire white or Asian men in engineering fields. And I was just like, overall, I just wasn't happy. Part of that was probably because I was paying for it out of pocket and stuff like that, and I just lost motivation. I didn't have the discipline as I do now to like stick through something. And then like I tried to go back a second time to just finish it out, at least get the AA, you know. And then now I'm back again. I'm going into a completely different field. Gonna go into game design and interactive media because I'm like, fuck it, why not? I like playing video games. I talk about it all the time, and I think about making video games a lot, and how I'd like to make my own video game, how I want to make it, because I like playing fun games. You know, it's like, it's a way to express myself is what I'm looking at it as someone who as a content creator, I'm very similar to Garnt, where I hate doing things. I'm much more of I'll do the stuff in the background. I'll plan it, I'll write it, I'll fucking shoot it for you, but I do not want to be the guy who hosts. Like, I fucking hate that. I don't know why I hate hosting so much. I just don't like it. But I'm much more of a behind-the-scenes guy.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm the editor, and I hate it when you guys make me come fucking onto the podcast to do stuff. Like, I'll give you guys the ideas, and I'll edit your audio. Just don't make me get on there and explain myself. But yeah, like it's a very important thing to learn from Guts' journey, that he doesn't know what he wants to do, but he still moves forward and he tries different things. And that's all you can really do. Because it's not just like a one day you wake up and this, aha, I know exactly what I'm going to do. You know, that type of epiphany doesn't come very often. It's more of a slow, either you get sick of it and you eventually just choose something to go into and you try to make it work, or you find something that you're like, you know what, this isn't too bad. It's just so fucking terrifying to be like, at least like that's how I feel about it right now, to be like at this point where you're like, damn, I don't fucking know. Like, I think I want this. Is it a good idea? I don't even, like, there's like this voice in your head is like, maybe it's not, maybe that's not what you want to do. You're like looking for like some form of affirmation or like validation. It's like, do this, and it's like, oh, okay, done. But you don't have that because you need to make that decision by yourself. At least I think.
And sometimes there's not just one right answer.
No. Yeah, and like I said, it's about taking that step. Be like Guts. Take that step and keep exploring. Find that dream.
Struggler.
Live it.
He's a struggler for a reason.
Learn from his struggle.
Dude, Berserk is... God damn it.
Berserk is something else. We talk about it all the time on this podcast, and it's like, it's special for a reason, man.
It's like one of the most human stories I've read. It's like, it's kind of amazing.
Which is amazing because it's a fucking story about monsters.
Yeah, I know. Fucking God hand, dude.
The story about fucking random ass like Cthulhu-esque monsters is like the most human thing I've ever read.
I don't know, man. Every now and then I'll listen to that Guts theme from the '97 anime. I'll be like, God damn it!
Everyone, I also feel like it's such a memed up song though. Like, whenever something happens, like,
it's like it turned into, man, that song still hits me. Like it turned into a meme, but that song still, like, man, I listen to it, I'm like, fuck yeah.
Man, it's heavy, but I actually think that's a great place to end this. We've been talking about this stuff for almost an hour and a half. Holy shit.
Anyway, thank you, Kantarmir, for like helping me try and contextualize life through manga.
Yeah.
Yes.
God damn it.
And making guts.
On that note.
On that note, thank you all out there for dropping in to listen to us pontificate about all this shit. If you have any kind of lessons or quotes or anything about anime that you find particularly inspiring, or manga or light novels, let us know below, because I'm interested to see what else in anime and manga inspires the people who listen to us. Check the description below to find links to Anime Club After Dark on Twitch, on social media, and on Discord. Check out our merch store. Any purchases you make there do really, really help us out. With that, I have been your host, Alex, and I will see you next time. Say goodnight, guys!
Where's that fucking Gus song? God damn it, I'm listening to it right now.
Oh, God, now I feel like John has to, like, edit it in right here at the end.
We're gonna get freaking copyright strike. Don't do it.
DMCA'd into oblivion.